So, you've learned a little bit about shamanism and you have decided to find a teacher, or you have located a teacher and you want to study with them. Um, I want to talk a little bit about some things you might want to keep in mind when approaching a shamanic teacher or starting your studies in shamanism. My name is John Moore, and I am a shamanic teacher and practitioner from the state of Maine. And I'm going to talk to you about working with a shamanic teacher today. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is I had kind of a funny interaction with somebody just today. Somebody emailed me about study, and because of the pandemic that happens to be going on and stuff, I am not currently teaching in person. I'm hoping by the end of the year that I will be teaching in person, but I have students all over the world and clients all over the world, and so even they study and work with me over Zoom usually, and that's fine. And some people have a preference for working with somebody in person, and I'm totally okay with whatever. I'm totally okay with that. And if I'm not the right fit for somebody, and I'm going to talk about fit in a minute and how important that is. If I'm not the right fit for that person, I will actually try to find the right fit for you, because first of all, I have a pretty sizable group of connections with people in the shamanic community, and I like to refer people out to people that I trust, people that I love, people that I know are good teachers. But I also really like to support people in the study of shamanism, people who come to the study of shamanism. I don't proselytize. I don't try to convince anybody that it's the right path for them. But if it is the right path for you, finding a teacher is important, and finding the right teacher is important. So this person, we were communicating back and forth, and I basically said, yeah, I'm not working with anyone in person at this point, but I do have some mentorships, some opening for mentorship currently in my schedule, and et cetera, et cetera. And this person said, I'm looking for in-person study. I said, totally understand. Let me help you find somebody. This is something I'm doing out of the goodness of my heart. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you find somebody. And I said, if you tell me a little bit about your preference for working in person, I will, try to help you find the right person to study with if I can, if I know the right person. And there are reasons why I'm asking about his preference. One is, is he looking for somebody who is close to him? So I'm not going to refer him to somebody who is across the country, right? That would force him to travel to study. Is he looking for somebody who has a specific specialty or set of specialties? That sort of thing. Is he looking for one-on-one study? Is he looking for group study? Is he looking for classes? Is he looking for apprenticeship, mentorship? Yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of things to consider. And what he said to me was, I am not paying for what I can get for free on YouTube. And I realize I do a lot of YouTube videos, but it kind of struck me as being a little bit abrasive, because studying with a teacher, even though it might be over Zoom, is still one-on-one study. And I have put almost a decade into study of shamanism, including 2 years of specialized teacher training and additional training in teaching introductory students and all kinds of stuff. I've put a lot of effort in, and learning one-on-one with me or any other teacher that I would refer somebody to is not like watching free videos on YouTube at all. And it doesn't matter that it's over video. And maybe he didn't mean anything by it, but it did come off as a little bit abrasive. I I did, despite that, I did, refer him to some people that I know and said, maybe I'll have some good luck with them. But I also warned them and I said, just so you know, this person came off a little bit abrasively and this is what happened and X, Y, and Z. So, one of the lessons to be learned there is um, about being respectful to other people. And I don't mean being respectful because I'm superior or whatever, but even approaching me as an equal, like I don't let people talk to me like that. What you do is akin to watching free videos on YouTube. Um, that's not okay. And um, this person may not wind up ever studying with somebody that I've worked with. I don't know. I mean, I did try to refer him, and I also tried to set him straight a little bit when I responded and said, just so you know, that whether you study in person or over video conferencing or whatever, it is nothing like watching free videos on YouTube when you study with a qualified and well, um, trained shamanic teacher. Um, this isn't about respect for superior. It's about respect for another person. It's about treating, I've dedicated my a good part of my life to honing what I do. And when you describe it as cheap, even if you weren't trying to become my student or whatever, it just doesn't feel right. Imagine if you had dedicated your life to something and I came and whatever, and I kind of blew it off. If you were like a world famous photographer and I said, I'm not going to look at your photos because I can take free photos on my phone. I'm not going to, I'm not going to pay for telemedicine appointments with my doctor because I can just look up, WebMD and diagnose myself with stuff. It's not the same thing. So, one lesson here is, just, if you are trying to enter into a relationship with somebody, particularly a teaching and student relationship, uh, it's important to it's important that they treat you with respect. I treat my students with respect. I treated this person with respect, even though I felt like he was being a bit disrespectful, and he may not know better, and that's fine. Um, but I felt like it was sort of disrespectful to what I do. But I'm also not taking it that personally because he has no idea what I do. He hasn't ever worked with me, and he's making some wild assumptions that are not correct. Um, but it just, it sparked in me the need to communicate this a little bit. And so I did, like I said, I did refer him out to some people that I know, but I also said, just so you know, this is the conversation I had with this guy. So one lesson to take away from that is, no matter where you are, the shamanic community is connected. So I'm connected to a lot of people around here, but also people in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And the people I'm connected to, there aren't 6 degrees of separation between me and other shamanic practitioners. There's probably 3 or 4. It's not that large a group of people, and particularly teachers, particularly people who are out there teaching. I pretty much know the names of all of the teachers in this area. And so word will get out if you're not being respectful to somebody or something along those lines. So let's talk about the teacher-student relationship in shamanism. And differ with every teacher of shamanism, because we're all different and we all have different personalities. We all have slightly different training, different backgrounds, all of that sort of thing. But there's a couple of things to understand. One is that people who study with the same teacher that I studied with and her teacher and so on and so forth, we create a little bit of intentional distance between ourselves and our students. So if you're my student, we're probably not going to hang out socially. And that, there's reasons for that. There's reasons for creating boundaries around the relationship to keep the relationship on target, focused, moving in the right direction, not have any misunderstandings about intentions or anybody taking advantage of any kind of relationship or anything like that. I'm super super careful about that with my students, and the other teachers that I know and respect are the same. Um, do I share personal details about my life with my students if it's appropriate? Absolutely. Do I invite them to my house? Do we go to the movies? No, I don't. I don't do that, because that is a different relationship. So understand that even though you might see this person as uh, friendly and compassionate, I try to be all of those things, and very interested in how you're doing, very interested in what's going on. Because we are, if you're a good teacher, I am very interested in your success and how you're doing and how you're applying the lessons that you learn to your life. So that's important, but it's also important to understand that it's not a we're not it seems kind of harsh to say we're not friends. We're friendly, and I do care about you, and I care about your life and all of those things, but we can't have a friendship relationship where you're actively my student. And my teacher is like that, and her teacher's like that, and so on and so forth. There are absolute and definite reasons for that. And so don't be taken aback by that. If a student invited me to their wedding or a birthday party or something, I might send a gift, but I would politely decline going. Just because, again, it's like crossing a boundary. It's really important. Another important aspect to me and to other people kind of in my circle about the teacher-student relationship is that I am a guide. I am not a guru. I am not here to rescue you. I'm not here to interpret your dreams or your journeys. I am here to show you how to do those things for yourself. While it is important to have a respectful back and forth relationship, you are not to bow down to me. You're not to see me as a superior. Okay. You can see me as somebody who has a certain amount of expertise and a certain amount of training that you haven't been through yet. But I always tell my students, I'm not special. I'm not smarter than you are. I'm not more evolved than you are. I'm not enlightened. I'm not going to blast you with energy and open your third eye and whatever. I'm probably not even going to journey for you. I did have a student recently ask me, will I get to the point in study where you do soul retrieval for me? And my answer to that was probably not. I will probably not do. I draw a distinction between client relationships and student relationships too. So that's a separation, and some teachers might not have that. I there are exceptions to that. If I have a student who has difficulty journeying, sometimes they need some healing work done before they can journey. And in that case, I would evaluate that on a case by case basis. But I'm not trying to create a dependent relationship with my students. And that's something you should understand as well. A good teacher is trying to lift you up, bolster your sovereignty, bolster your abilities, and not create a dependent relationship. You're not coming to me to interpret your journeys. You're not coming to me to interpret your dreams. You're not coming to me for healing all the time, when I'm going to teach you how to do your own work. It's going to take time, but once you can do your own work, you can do your own work. And so that's a little bit different from some spiritual teacher and student relationships out there. I don't ask people to bow to me. I don't ask people to, that sort of thing. And I come from a Japanese martial arts background where, as a teacher, I stood in front of the class, and the class bowed to me and bowed after every time I gave instruction and all of that sort of thing. That was a formality that was part of the culture that this particular martial art came out of. And even then, I would explain, you're not bowing down to me. This is like a handshake. This is a thank you for teaching me that moment. Um, this is, again, it's not about worship. It's not about any of those things. So understand that. Um, and I don't want to comment too harshly on any other teachers, but if you find yourself in relationship with a spiritual teacher, particularly a shamanic teacher, and you find yourself becoming more dependent upon them instead of less, um, after a while, I mean, in the beginning, there will be some dependence on them for steering you in the right direction and making sure you have everything you need and that sort of thing. But once you get going, after some period of time, they should be lightening up on the reins a little bit and not guiding quite as much. But definitely steering your learning, definitely making sure you're on track, definitely asking you to check in with them, that sort of thing. Um, I would probably be very wary and cautious and put some thought in if you are in a relationship with a teacher, spiritual teacher, that is becoming where you are becoming more dependent upon them. I am also aware that there's this psychological idea of transference that happens with therapists, that sometimes happens also in a teaching setting, where people think, oh, they start to worship or they fall in love or with a teacher. And I try to take steps to squash any of that. Not that that's been a problem for me, but I'm really careful about that, that sort of thing. So if you find yourself having feelings for a teacher that are beyond the affection that you would feel for another human being who is giving you something valuable, but that go outside of that teacher student relationship, like you suddenly feel attracted to that person, or you feel like you're in love with that person, or you have, I don't know, you fantasize about being in a relationship with that person, um, you know be cautious about that, but understand that that is transference. That's a well understood psychological phenomenon that happens really often with therapists, but can also happen in teaching settings as well. So don't mistake that for real, you know, for a real kind of like romantic relationship or partnership type of relationship, because that's not it either. And I can understand maybe those feelings develop, um, but there's a reason. It's one of the reasons why I have careful boundaries with with my students, because I don't want to encourage that, um, and I want them to have a real understanding of the boundaries of the relationship and have really clear boundaries about that. So one thing I will say, and this also comes through from my martial arts training and from my own learning, um, hubris, is comes before a fall, comes before a downfall. If you approach shamanism with hubris and grandiosity and I am enlightened and I know more than my teacher and yada yada yada. I've seen this very few times in my career, but it happens. Um, you are setting yourself up for some very rude awakenings. And I'm not saying the teacher is going to come over and smack you or whatever. Spirit is going to put you in your place. And that's true even if you're not studying with a teacher and you go out into the world and you put messages out there that are hubristic. And spiritual development does create hubris in us. It does create ego. It bolsters that ego, which is a weird thing, to think that spiritual work makes us can make us more egocentric. That's a sign that you're not doing your work. But one way around that is to approach everything with humility. I don't mean the type of humility that is shame-based humility, like I'm not worthy, yeah, yada yada yada. Um, Approach your teachers, your human incarnate teachers and your spiritual teachers from a please and thank you perspective, with good manners. That's very lost in today's world. Good manners in many places. Um, I raised my children with to have really good manners in kind of an old-fashioned way, I guess. I was raised to have good manners, particularly with adults and stuff. And I got, even when they were little, I got so many compliments. Strangers would come up to me. I remember I took them to a rock climbing gym one time. They were maybe about 8, and climbing the rock wall, and just this employee from the rock wall place came over and said, man, you are doing something right. Your kids are so polite, and it's please and thank you and asking, oh, can I do this? And instead of just demanding. And there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said that you will get more out of life in general by being pleasant and polite and having people want to interact with you, not in a syrupy, sweet, fake way. It has to be genuine. But it did make me feel really good when I heard that about my children, and I was grateful, and I thanked that person. So approach your teachers with humble gratitude, not over the top. Don't be brown nosing your teacher. That makes me uncomfortable as well. But approach with some humility. Don't say things like, yeah, this is the same as watching free videos on YouTube. Trust me, it's not. Um, you will go far with a little bit of humility, a little bit of respect, and the respect is mutual. Okay, it's not. Again, you're not bowing down to me. You're not putting me on a pedestal or anything like that. We are respecting each other. We are in a teacher-student relationship. I'm going to respect you, and I realize that that's problematic in some teacher-student relationships where teachers do not respect their students as human beings, and that's not right either. And I would be particularly careful about spiritual teachers that treat you as a lesser being. Okay, because if they're as enlightened as they claim to be, or whatever, developed as they claim to be, they don't do that. Okay, that's a red flag. That's a warning sign. So anyway, I hope this is a little bit helpful if you have decided to approach a shamanic teacher about studying with them, or you are studying with a shamanic teacher, and give some thought to the relationship. And if you nurture that relationship, it will feed you. And by nurturing, I just mean take care of it, be polite, be respectful, understand that, gosh, I'm human. I'm as fallible as anybody, and probably more so than most. But I happen to have spent a lot of my life learning some things and doing a whole lot of work on it. So I have valuable things to pass on. And I am very happy to pass those on to people who are able to receive those. And one of the ways that that lets me know that people are ready to receive them is if they receive them with humility, if they receive them with gratitude, if they receive them with openness, and not, oh, I already know that. And I will leave you with a story, a very short story. I was studying with my teacher in kind of this long-term program, and there was a woman who somehow got into this program who was extremely disruptive, and just it wasn't just with the teacher. She was really disrespectful. She thought she should be teaching the class. And my opinion was, I didn't come here to learn from you. I came here to learn from the teacher. And it was so not only was she sort of, and the teacher handled it really well and handled it privately. And even though this person was extremely disrespectful, not just disrespectful to the teacher, but disrespectful to everybody in the room who's trying to learn. And this person's putting their ego out in front of everyone. Nobody is impressed by that. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody enjoyed that or looked at this person and said, you know what? She's got a good point. No, everybody said, gosh, I wish she would stop. I wish she would just stop. If she's not happy here, she should just leave so that we can be happy here. And she did. She left the program and never came back, and the program was great. So set aside what you think you know. Take a beginner's mind stance. Even if if you study shamanism, if I go study with a teacher, a different teacher than the one I've been studying with for years, I will set what I think I know aside so that I can absorb more from this teacher. Then afterwards, I go and look at, oh, this is what I learned before. This is what I learned here. How do I work that together? And you'll get the maximum benefit from that. So don't ever go into a learning situation thinking you know more than the teacher, even if you do, because what happens is you're closing your mind off to learning. You're not going to get the maximum benefit. And chances are you're going to rub a whole lot of people the wrong way. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Please subscribe to my channel, and I've got tons and tons of videos about shamanism, learning shamanism, that sort of thing. And I will talk to you real soon.